Hey guys, tonight we travel back to the 2nd century BC, to the magnificent court of the Han Dynasty in China. You are a loyal soldier, standing in a grand hall, your world defined by the power of the emperor and the immense wall that separates your civilized empire from the unknown lands of the West. A great mission is being proposed. A journey across endless deserts and over impassable mountains to find a lost tribe. It is a mission of diplomacy, of exploration, of hope. But let's be honest, you are being asked to walk off the edge of the known world. Between you and your goal lies the most powerful and hostile nomadic empire on Earth. The chances of you ever seeing the Jade Gate again are almost zero. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. As always, I'd love to see where in the world you're listening from, so please drop your city and local time in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. 138 BC. The world as you know it has a single, unshakable center. It is the city of Chang'an, the capital of the great Han Dynasty, a metropolis of over 1 million souls and the beating heart of civilization. You are a soldier, an archer from the rugged northern frontier, and for you, this city is a disorienting and awe-inspiring dream. Your own world is one of dusty garrisons, harsh winds, and the ever-present threat of barbarian raids. This world is one of soaring pagoda roofs, bustling, orderly avenues, and the scent of incense and imperial power. The story begins here, not in the wilderness, but at the very pinnacle of human order. You have been summoned, one of 100 men, to the Weiyang Palace, a city within a city, a labyrinth of grand halls, serene gardens, and forbidden courtyards that is the home of the Son of Heaven, the Emperor Wu of Han. You walk through halls of polished wood and painted silk, your rough soldier's boots silent on the fine woven mats. The air is cool and still, a stark contrast to the noisy, vibrant chaos of the city outside. The courtiers and ministers you pass are like beings from another world, their magnificent silk robes embroidered with the intricate symbols of their rank, their faces calm, impassive masks of courtly etiquette. You are a simple, practical man of the bow and the horse, and you feel utterly out of place in this world of whispers, rituals, and hidden meanings. You are led into the great audience hall. The space is immense, designed to awe and intimidate. Massive pillars of fragrant Nanmu wood hold up a ceiling painted with the constellations of the heavens. The light from the high windows is softened by silk screens, giving the entire hall a dim, reverent, and almost divine atmosphere. Hundreds of officials are assembled, all standing in perfect, silent rows according to their rank. At the far end of the hall, on a raised platform, sits the dragon throne, and upon it sits the emperor. He is a young man, but his gaze is ancient, steady, and all-encompassing. He is the Son of Heaven, the axis around which the entire world revolves. His word is law, his displeasure is ruin. To a simple soldier like you, he is not just a man, he is a god. You and the other 99 members of the chosen company kneel, your foreheads touching the cool floor in the ritual kowtow, an act of ultimate submission and loyalty. This is the Han Empire at its zenith. It is a civilization built on a foundation of profound order and sophisticated bureaucracy. It is a world governed by scholars and ministers who have earned their positions not just through birth, but through their mastery of philosophy and literature. It is an empire that has learned to make paper, to chart the stars, to write its own long and glorious history. From this great hall, the emperor's decrees, copied onto slips of bamboo by an army of scribes, travel out to the furthest corners of the realm, governing the lives of 50 million people. This is the Middle Kingdom, the center of the world, a beacon of civilization in a world of darkness and barbarism. You remain kneeling, your eyes fixed on the floor, listening to the formal, ritualized language of the court. You think of your own home on the frontier, of the Great Wall, that immense serpent of earth and stone that separates this world of order from the chaos beyond. You have spent your entire life defending that line. You have fought the barbarians from the northern steppes, the horsemen who come like the wind to raid and to pillage. You have always seen them as a simple, violent problem, to be met with the simple, violent solution of an arrow. But here, in this hall, you understand for the first time that the Emperor sees the world differently. His is a grander, more complex view. He does not just see a border to be defended, he sees a world to be shaped. As you listen to him speak to his ministers, his voice calm but filled with an iron resolve, you realize you are not just a soldier anymore. You are about to become a pawn in a game of empires, a game so vast and so complex that you can barely begin to comprehend it. The Emperor's court is a world of silk, of whispered words, of intricate, slow-moving rituals. Your world, the world you have known your entire life, is one of horsehide, of shouted commands, of the swift, brutal finality of an arrow. To understand the Emperor's gamble, you must first understand the terror of the northern frontier. You must understand the Xiongnu. The narrative shifts from the perfumed halls of Chang'an to the wind-scoured plains of the Ordo's Loop, the great bend in the Yellow River. This is the northern border of the Han Empire. Here, the world of the farmer, of the settled village and the ordered field, comes to an abrupt and violent end. Before you lies the endless, rolling sea of grass that is the steppe, and it is the domain of the horsemen. They are the Xiongnu, a great and powerful confederation of nomadic tribes. They are a people born in the saddle. Their children learn to ride before they can properly walk. Their wealth is not in land or in cities, but in their vast herds of horses, sheep and cattle. They live in felt yurts, their homes as mobile as their armies. They are a people who can vanish into the vastness of the steppe like a river into the sand. To the Han, they are a constant existential threat. They are the barbarians, a force of chaos pressing against the borders of your civilized world. The Great Wall, a long winding dragon of earth and stone, is a testament to this centuries-old fear. But the wall is not a perfect shield. It can be breached or simply bypassed. This chapter is a memory, a scene from your life as a frontier soldier just a year before. It is a hot, clear afternoon. You are on patrol with your small company, riding through a landscape of small, peaceful farmsteads. Suddenly, you see a pillar of smoke on the horizon. Your commander gives a sharp, urgent cry. You spur your horses, your heart a cold stone in your chest. You arrive too late. The farmstead is a scene of utter devastation. The small house is a roaring bonfire. The fields are trampled. The family, the farmers who just yesterday gave you a cup of water, lie where they fell, their bodies pierced with the distinctive three-bladed arrows of the Xiongnu. The attack was a ghost. There was no warning. 100 Xiongnu horsemen, appearing as if from the earth itself, descended upon the farm, took the grain and the livestock, killed the people, and vanished back into the steppes, all in a matter of minutes. This is the nature of their warfare. It is not a clash of armies, but a lightning-fast raid, a form of violent, terrifying theft. You, and the entire Han army, are almost powerless against it. Your armies are made of infantry, of supply wagons, of slow-moving legions. They are an army of the road and the field. The Xiongnu are an army of the grass and the wind. By the time your garrison can respond, they are gone, leaving only smoke and death behind. The Emperor has tried to fight them, and he has failed. He has also tried to buy them off. For decades, the Han court has been forced into a humiliating policy of harmonious kinship, sending vast tributes of silk, rice, wine, and even Han noblewomen to be brides for the Xiongnu chieftains, all in a desperate attempt to buy a fragile, temporary peace. You stand in the ruins of the farmstead, the smoke stinging your eyes, and you are filled with a cold, familiar rage. This is the reality that the ministers in their silk robes in Chang'an do not understand. They see the Xiongnu as a political problem, a drain on the treasury. You see them as the wolf at the door, the constant, terrifying threat that has defined your entire life. You understand, in this moment, the depth of the emperor's desperation. His armies are too slow. His tribute payments are a mark of weakness. His civilization, for all its art and philosophy, is being bled dry by an enemy it cannot catch, an enemy it does not understand. The old ways have failed. You look north, at the endless sea of grass where the raiders have vanished. You know that to defeat the wolf, you cannot wait for it to come to your door. You must go to its lair, or you must find another wolf to fight it for you. This is the brutal, simple logic of the frontier, and it is this logic that has brought you, a simple archer, to your knees in the great hall of the emperor, about to be sent on an impossible journey to the other side of the world. The great hall is silent. The emperor has finished speaking of the Xiongnu threat, of the failed military campaigns and the humiliating tribute. The air is heavy with the shared, unspoken admission of the empire's frustration and weakness. The ministers and courtiers stand with their heads bowed, waiting. They expect another call for more soldiers, for a new tax to pay for a stronger wall. They expect a continuation of the old failed strategies. They do not expect the thunderbolt that is to come. Emperor Wu rises from the dragon throne. He is a young emperor, and his court is filled with older, more cautious men who advise patience and defense. But his eyes burn with a different fire, an ambition to not merely manage the Xiongnu problem, but to solve it permanently. He gestures to a minister who unrolls a magnificent silk scroll across a long table. It is a map of the known world. You see the great, detailed landscape of the Han Empire, its rivers, its mountains, its provinces. To the north, the Great Wall is a thick, dark line, and beyond that line, there is only a vast, empty and terrifying blankness, marked with a single ominous word, Xiongnu. For generations, the emperor begins, his voice clear and sharp, cutting through the silence. We have fought the beast at our door. We have built walls to keep it out. We have fed it tributes of our finest silk and our own daughters to keep it placated. But the beast is never satisfied. It always returns, hungry for more. He lets the weight of his words settle in the hall. A defensive war, he continues, is a war you can never win. To defeat the Xiongnu, we must not wait for their attack. We must strike at their heart, and we will not do it alone. He points a finger to the great empty void on the map, far to the west of the Xiongnu territory. Decades ago, he says, the Xiongnu were not the sole power on the steppe. They had a great rival to the west, a people known as the Yuezhi. The Xiongnu defeated them in a great battle, killed their king, and, in an act of ultimate humiliation, their chief made a drinking cup from his skull. They drove the Yuezhi from their ancestral lands, forcing them to flee thousands of miles into the unknown west. A murmur runs through the court. It is an old story, a piece of frontier lore. The Yuezhi have a debt of blood to be repaid, the emperor says, his voice now a low, dangerous growl. They hate the Xiongnu with a fire that 1,000 miles and 2 decades cannot have extinguished. They are the enemy of our enemy, and we will make them our friend. The plan is revealed in its stunning, almost insane audacity. He is not proposing a new army. He is proposing a single diplomatic mission. He will send an envoy, a small party of men, who will deliberately travel through the heart of the hostile Xiongnu territory, cross the vast, unmapped deserts and mountain ranges beyond, find these lost Yuezhi people, and offer them an alliance, a grand, two-front war to utterly crush their common foe. You look at the blank space on the map. It is a journey into nothingness, a mission to find a ghost, with a near-certain promise of death at the hands of the Xiongnu along the way. It is a plan born of pure imperial desperation. The emperor then calls a name. Zhang Qian. A man steps forward from the ranks of the minor court officials. He is not a great general or a famous minister. He is a man of no high rank, known only for his immense physical courage and his unshakable, stubborn loyalty to the throne. This is the man who has been chosen to lead this impossible mission. Finally, the Emperor's gaze sweeps over you and the other 99 soldiers who have been assembled. You are the archers, the guards, the strong arms that will protect the envoy on his journey. You have been chosen for your toughness, your knowledge of the frontier, your unquestioning obedience. You understand now why you were summoned. You are to be the point of the spear in this audacious gamble. You feel a surge of immense, terrifying pride. To be chosen by the Son of Heaven for such a task is the greatest honor a soldier can imagine. But as you look at the vast, empty silk of the map, you also feel a cold, creeping dread. The Emperor, from his golden throne, is moving pieces in a game of empires. But you are one of the pieces being moved, and you are being sent into a darkness from which no one has ever returned. 138 BC. The Emperor's audacious words still echo in your mind. In the days that follow the grand pronouncement, the reality of the mission begins to take shape. You and the 99 other chosen men are moved to a special barracks on the outskirts of Chang'an. Here, you are no longer just soldiers in the vast Han army. You are a company apart, a small, self-contained world preparing for a journey into oblivion. You are the Emperor's gamble, the 100 men. The company is a strange and carefully chosen mix. The bulk of you are men like yourself, tough, seasoned soldiers from the northern frontier, men who know the harshness of the steppes and the ways of the nomads. Your faces are weathered, your hands are calloused, and your eyes are accustomed to scanning empty horizons. You are the mission's sword and its shield. Then there are the diplomats, a handful of low-ranking but fiercely loyal officials chosen from Zhang Qian's own staff. They are men of the court, scholars who are now frantically trying to learn what little is known of the Western lands, their minds filled with the fantastic tales of the semi-mythical Queen Mother of the West and the Mountains of Jade. They are the mission's voice. And then there is the strangest member of your company, a man who is both your key and your greatest liability. His name is Ganfu. He is a Xiongnu, a nomad captured in a border skirmish years ago who has served as a slave in the household of a Han nobleman. In exchange for his freedom and a promise of great reward, he has agreed to be your guide. You look at him, at his familiar nomadic features, and you feel a deep, ingrained mistrust. He is one of the very people you have spent your life fighting. Yet, he is the only man in your entire empire who knows the paths you must take. Your own preparations are simple and methodical. You are an archer. Your life is your bow. You spend a day selecting a new one from the Imperial Armory, a powerful composite bow of laminated bamboo, horn, and sinew. You test its pull, its balance. You fletch dozens of new arrows, your hands moving with the practiced, meditative grace of a master craftsman. Each arrow is a prayer for survival. As you work, you listen to the talk among the other soldiers. Their mood is a strange cocktail of bravado, fatalism, and a desperate, almost manic excitement. Some boast of the glory they will win, of the noble titles they will be granted upon their triumphant return. Others, more pragmatic, speak of the immense wealth that could be found in the Western lands. But in the quiet of the night, you hear the other stories, the whispers of fear. They speak of the trackless deserts that can swallow an army, of the mountains that touch the heavens, and of the Xiongnu's legendary cruelty. No one, you realize, truly expects to return. This is a mission from which glory is the only expected reward. A glory that will be attached to your name long after your bones have been picked clean by the desert winds. The day of your departure arrives. It is not a grand affair. There is no great parade, no cheering crowds. Such a secret, desperate mission must begin in the shadows. Your company of 100 men, with your horses and pack animals laden with rolls of silk for diplomatic gifts, assembles in a quiet courtyard of the palace. Zhang Qian receives the final imperial seals from a court minister. You mount your horse, your new bow slung across your back. You are about to embark on the longest and most dangerous journey ever commissioned by the Han Empire. You are leaving the center of the world, a city of 1,000,000 souls, of art and law and history, to travel into a blank space on the map. You feel a surge of immense pride, the honor of being a part of this great, historic gamble. But as your small company passes through the western gate of the city, leaving the noise and the light of Chang'an behind for the quiet road west, that pride is tempered by a cold, clear, and sobering reality. You are 100 men, going to face an empire of horsemen to cross a continent of ghosts. You are a single small arrow fired by the Emperor into the great, unknown darkness of the West, and you have no idea where you will land. 138 BC. The journey west begins. For 2 months, your company travels within the borders of the Han Empire, and this journey alone is an epic in itself. You follow the Great Wei River, passing through the fertile, prosperous heartland of the empire. You see the endless, neatly gridded fields of wheat and millet, the bustling market towns, and the constant, steady flow of merchants and officials that are the lifeblood of the Middle Kingdom. It is a world of immense, reassuring order. But as you travel further west, the landscape begins to change. You enter the Hexi Corridor, a long, narrow passage of arid land with the snow-capped Chilean mountains to the south and the harsh Gobi Desert to the north. The green, gentle world of the heartland gives way to a land of dust, rock, and a sky that is a vast, empty, and brilliant blue. The towns become smaller, rougher. The people are different here, their faces weathered by the sun and the wind, their culture a mix of Han farmers and semi-nomadic herders. This is the frontier. Finally, after weeks of hard travel, you see it. It is not a grand or beautiful structure. It is a stark, imposing fortress of rammed earth, a square of immense, tangent-colored walls rising from the desolate plains. Watchtowers stand at its corners, and in its center is a great, dark portal. This is Yumenguan, the Jade Gate. It is the end of the world. For centuries, this has been the final outpost of Chinese civilization. It is the gateway through which the precious jade of the Western Mountains has entered the empire, giving the pass its name. And it is the gate through which exiles and disgraced officials are sent, a final, one-way journey into the wilderness. It is the last line of defense, the last point of order, the last breath of the Dragon Throne's authority. Beyond this gate lies only the unknown. You spend a few days at the garrison, making your final preparations. The soldiers stationed here are a different breed from the polished guards of the capital. They are hard, pragmatic men, their faces burned by the sun, their eyes carrying the quiet, watchful look of those who live in constant low-level danger. They look upon your company of 100 men with a mixture of awe and pity. They cannot comprehend your mission. You are not marching out to fight a battle. You are simply walking into the enemy's arms, into the heart of the Xiongnu territory. I have been stationed at this gate for 10 years. An old, scarred sergeant tells you one evening as you share a bowl of harsh grain wine. I have seen 100 patrols go out. Not all of them come back. But you are not going on a patrol. You are walking into the fire. The emperor is a great man, but he does not know the emptiness of the lands beyond this wall. He tells you stories of the Xiongnu, of their impossible skill with a bow on horseback, of their cruelty, of their ability to appear from the empty desert as if they were ghosts. You listen, your own experience on the northern frontier confirming his words. The morning of your final departure is clear and cold. Your company assembles before the great gate. The garrison commander offers a final, formal toast. There are no speeches, no ceremonies, only a grim, silent understanding of the odds. Zhang Qian gives the order. The great, heavy wooden gates, reinforced with iron, groan open. You ride through the dark tunnel of the gateway, and out into the brilliant, blinding light on the other side. You are in a different world now. The land looks the same, a vast, dusty plain stretching to the horizon. But it feels different. There are no more watchtowers, no more roads, no more familiar signs of the Han world. There is only the wind, and the emptiness, and the knowledge that you are now utterly, completely on your own. You turn in your saddle and look back. You see the Jade Gate, a small, lonely square of man-made order in the vast wilderness, and you watch as its great, dark gates swing shut with a deep, final boom that echoes across the plain. That sound is the closing of a book, the end of a chapter of your life. The entire Han Empire, with its armies, its cities, its history, and its laws, is now behind that wall. Ahead of you lies only danger and the thinnest, most fragile of hopes. You have just stepped off the map. (138 BC). The world beyond the Jade Gate is a place of profound and intimidating emptiness. For 10 days, your small company of 100 men has traveled west, a tiny, insignificant speck in a vast, featureless landscape of gravel plains and distant sun-scorched mountains. The reassuring presence of the Han Empire, with its roads and its garrisons, is gone. There is only the wind, the sun, and a deep, watchful silence. You are in the Hexi Corridor, the dangerous no-man's land that separates the Han frontier from the heart of the Xiongnu territory. Your guide, Ganfu, is a man transformed. In the Han lands, he was quiet, sullen, a captive. Out here, he is alert, his eyes constantly scanning the horizon, his knowledge of this harsh land your only true shield. He has warned Zhang Qian that you are being watched. As a frontier soldier, you feel it too. It is a subtle change in the air, a feeling on the back of your neck. The herds of wild asses that you saw in the first few days have vanished. The birds are silent. The land is holding its breath. This is the ancient, instinctual knowledge of the hunted. The attack comes on a day like any other, under a sky of brilliant, indifferent blue. You have stopped at a small oasis to water the horses. The mood is one of weary routine. It is this moment of rest, of lowered guard, that the enemy has been waiting for. It begins not with a sound, but with a change on the horizon. A low, dark line of dust, so faint at first you mistake it for a trick of the heat. But it is moving, growing, resolving itself into a horrifying, unmistakable sight. A vast cloud of dust kicked up by the hooves of hundreds, perhaps thousands of horses. Ganfu gives a single, sharp cry of warning. Xiongnu, the alarm is sounded. A frantic, desperate chaos erupts in your small camp. You and the other soldiers scramble for your weapons, trying to form a defensive circle around the diplomats and the pack animals. You notch an arrow to your bow, your heart a cold, heavy drum in your chest. And then they are upon you. They crest the low hills surrounding the oasis, not as a clumsy mob, but as a fluid, terrifying wave of horsemen. They do not charge in a straight line. They flow like a river around your small position, circling you, their war cries a high, ululating shriek that is designed to break a man's nerve before the first arrow is even fired. Then, the sky turns black. It is the legendary Parthian shot of the steppe nomads. They fire their arrows not just as they charge, but as they ride away, twisting in their saddles with an impossible grace. A rain of death descends upon your small company. You hear the screams of men and the high, terrified whinnying of horses as the arrows find their mark. You, the archer, try to fight back. You pick your targets, you draw, you release, but it is a futile gesture. For every one of them you might hit, 100 arrows are aimed at you. They are masters of this kind of warfare. They are a storm, and you are just a single small tree in their path. The battle, if it can be called that, is over in minutes. Their initial volley of arrows shatters your defense. Then, with their lances and their swords, they charge. It is a slaughter. The superior numbers and the sheer violent momentum of their cavalry charge overwhelm your small band of infantry. You see your comrades fall. You see the silk banners of the emperor's embassy trampled into the bloody dust. You see Zhang Qian, a diplomat, not a warrior, standing his ground with a terrible, calm resolve. You are knocked from your feet by a charging horse. The world is a blur of dust, of shouting, of the smell of blood and sweat. Before you can rise, the point of a Xiongnu spear is at your throat. It is over. You are disarmed. Your hands bound tightly behind your back. You are forced to kneel in the dust alongside the other survivors. There are not many of you left. Less than a third of the 100 men who so proudly left the Jade Gate are still alive. The Xiongnu warriors move among you, stripping the dead of their armor and weapons, laughing as they break open the crates of silk that were meant as diplomatic gifts for a king they will never meet. You look at the face of Zhang Qian. He is a captive, his grand mission in ruins, but in his eyes you do not see despair. You see the same unshakable, stubborn resolve. The emperor's gamble has failed. The great journey into the West has ended, almost before it began. You are now a prisoner of the very people you were sent to defeat. And as you are hauled to your feet and led away into the vast, unforgiving steppe, you know that a new, much longer, and much more difficult journey has just begun. (138 BC). Your captivity begins with a long, brutal journey north, deeper into the heart of the endless grasslands. You are a prisoner, your hands bound, forced to march alongside the horses of your captors. After weeks of travel, you arrive at the great camp of the Xiongnu Chanyu, their king. You expect to be thrown into a dungeon, to be executed as a spy. But the Xiongnu have no dungeons, they have no prisons. Their punishment is something far more subtle, and in its own way, far more profound. Your new prison is the sky itself. You are assigned to the household of a low-ranking chieftain, and your cell is a small, smoky felt yurt. You are not chained, you are simply watched. You are free to walk the camp, but there is nowhere to run. To flee into the vast, featureless sea of grass that surrounds you would be a slower, but equally certain, form of suicide. And so begins your first year as a captive, a slow, disorienting, and deeply transformative education in the strange new world of the nomadic horseman. The camp is a city of felt and smoke, a sprawling, ever-moving metropolis of thousands of yurts, surrounded by a living ocean of livestock, tens of thousands of sheep, goats, and, most importantly, horses. The air is thick, with the smell of wood smoke, of dung fires, of livestock, and of the sour, fermented mare's milk that is their staple drink. Your life is stripped down to its bare essentials. You are a slave. Your days are filled with the most menial of tasks. You are sent out with the shepherds to guard the flocks from wolves, a humiliating task for a proud Han archer. You learn to collect dried animal dung, the only fuel on the treeless steppe, to feed the ever-hungry fires. You are forced to learn their ways to survive. You learn to live in the yurt, a circular, felt-covered dwelling that can be disassembled and packed onto a cart in a matter of hours. It is a marvel of practical engineering, warm in the winter and cool in the summer. You learn to eat their food. There is no rice, no delicate vegetables of the Han world. There is only meat, usually tough, boiled mutton, and a dizzying array of dairy products. You are forced to drink kumis, fermented mare's milk, its sour, alcoholic taste a shock to your system. It is a diet of pure, brute survival. You observe their society, so different from your own. Here, women are not cloistered figures. They are strong, respected partners who manage the household, herd the animals, and ride with an authority and skill equal to any man. The family is the center of the universe. And the horse is everything. It is transportation, it is a weapon of war, it is a source of food and drink, and it is a sacred spiritual being. Through all this, you watch your leader, Zhang Qian. He too is a captive, but he carries himself with a quiet, unshakable dignity. He refuses to show despair. He spends his days learning the Xiongnu language, observing their political structure, gathering the very information the emperor sent him to find. He is a diplomat, even in chains. As the first winter on the steppe sets in, a cold so profound and so brutal it makes the winters of the Han frontier seem like a gentle spring, you huddle in the smoky warmth of your yurt. The wind howls outside, a sound you now know is the voice of this land. You think of your home in the Han Empire, of its ordered fields, its walled cities, its predictable routines. It is a world away, a life that feels as if it belonged to another man. Your hands, which once held a bow in service of the emperor, are now calloused from herding another man's sheep. You have survived. But the price of that survival is the slow, painful erasure of the man you once were. The core conflict is no longer with an external enemy. It is within you. It is the battle between the memory of your old, civilized self and the harsh, practical, and brutally simple reality of your new nomadic life. Winter, 137 BC. The first winter on the steppe is a lesson in survival. But as your body slowly adapts to the brutal cold and the strange, rich diet of meat and milk, you are faced with a new, more profound challenge. You are surrounded by a constant flow of human conversation, but you are an island of silence in its midst. You are deaf and dumb, a man without a tongue, and you realize that to truly survive here, you must learn not just the ways of the land, but the language of its people. Your education begins not in a classroom, but in the smoky, firelit warmth of the yurt. You listen, you watch. The Xiongnu language is nothing like the precise tonal language of the Han. It is a language of the throat, full of deep, guttural sounds and long, flowing vowels. A language that seems to mimic the sound of the wind on the open plains. At first, it is just a meaningless river of noise. But slowly, painstakingly, you begin to pick out the stones from the water. You learn the simple, essential words through repetition and gesture. The word for fire, for water, for horse. You learn the names of the people in your small household. You learn the word for thank you, a small but vital piece of currency in this new world. Through the slow, difficult process of learning their language, you begin to see your captors not as a monolithic horde of barbarians, but as a complex and structured society. You learn of their deep and unwavering reverence for the sky god, Tengri, the eternal blue sky that is the roof of their world. You see how they honor their elders, the old men and women who are the keepers of the tribe's memory and wisdom. You learn the intricate rules of hospitality. A stranger who comes to a yurt in peace is to be treated as an honored guest, given the best piece of meat and a warm place by the fire. It is a code of survival, a sacred law in a land where a single friendly hearth can mean the difference between life and death. You also learn what they value. It is not the intricate silks or the fine pottery of your Han world. It is a good horse, a strong bow, a loyal son. Their history is not written in books, but is sung by bards in the long winter nights, epic poems of great heroes and legendary battles that every child knows by heart. You and your leader, Zhang Qian, take different paths in your learning. You, the soldier, learn the practical language of the herdsmen and the warriors. You learn the names of the different types of grasses, the signs of a coming storm, the words for tracking a wolf. You learn the commands for a horse, the slang of the common man. Zhang Qian, ever the diplomat, seeks out the chieftains. He learns the more formal language of the court, the words for alliance, for treaty, for king. He is still a prisoner, but he has never stopped being an envoy. He is meticulously gathering intelligence, mapping the political landscape of the very empire that holds him captive. The breakthrough for you comes one evening, deep in the winter. A storyteller is in the yurt, recounting a familiar, humorous tale. The people around the fire are laughing, and for the first time, without conscious effort, you understand the joke. A small, simple story about a lazy shepherd and a clever fox, and you smile. It is a genuine, unforced smile, a small, shared moment of human connection. In that moment, something inside you shifts. For a year, you have held on to your identity as a Han soldier, a civilized man trapped among savages. But as the sound of their shared laughter fills the yurt, that simple, arrogant certainty begins to crumble. These are not just barbarians. They are a people with their own laws, their own history, their own humor, and their own deep and abiding connection to a world you are only just beginning to understand. The core conflict is no longer just your body against the cold. It is now your ingrained prejudice against the undeniable evidence of your own eyes and ears. To see these people as a complex, intelligent society is to make your own captivity and your mission to help destroy them an infinitely more complicated and troubling thing. Learning their language has not brought you closer to freedom. It has only shown you the true, profound depth of your imprisonment. "136 BC. 2 years have passed since your capture. The sharp edges of your despair have been worn smooth by the relentless, grinding routine of nomadic life. You have learned the language of the steppe, you have learned the work of a herder, and you have learned to endure the crushing, soul-deep silence of the vast grasslands. You and Zhang Qian have proven to be resilient captives. You have not broken, you have not forgotten who you are, and this, it seems, is a problem for your captors. The Xiongnu, the great leader of the Xiongnu, has grown tired of waiting for his 2 Han prisoners to either die or fully submit. He decides on a new, more powerful and more permanent method of assimilation. He will bind you to his people not with ropes of horsehide but with the unbreakable chains of family. One evening, the chieftain of your small clan informs you and Zhang Qian that the Xiongnu has honored you. You are to be given wives. It is not a proposal, it is a command. There is no ceremony, no romance. 2 women are brought to your yurts. They are the daughters of a minor clan, their marriages a political and social transaction. This is not a gift of love, it is an act of statecraft, a way of ensuring that any children you have will be Xiongnu, and that your own loyalties will become forever divided. Your wife is a young woman with high cheekbones and dark, watchful eyes that hold no illusions. She is as much a captive in this arrangement as you are. She speaks little at first. Your life together begins not with words, but with the shared, silent language of daily tasks. You watch her as she works, and you are humbled by her skill and her strength. She can milk a horse, churn the milk into kumis, tan a hide, and assemble a yurt with a quiet, practiced efficiency that makes your own efforts seem clumsy and foolish. She, in turn, watches you. She sees the way you care for your bow, the quiet discipline you still possess from your life as a soldier. A slow, cautious respect begins to grow between you in the shared space of the yurt. The first true connection is a simple, human one. During a bitterly cold night, she sees you shivering in your sleep, and wordlessly drapes another heavy felt blanket over you. It is a small gesture, but in this harsh and unforgiving world, it is an act of profound kindness. Slowly, awkwardly, you begin to build a life. You have a shared home now, a shared fire. You begin to talk, your broken Xiongnu and her few halting words of your own tongue, learned from other captives, weaving a fragile bridge between your 2 worlds. She tells you the names of the stars in her own language. You, in turn, try to explain the great walled cities of the Han. She cannot imagine a world without a vast, open sky, and you are beginning to forget what it feels like to be surrounded by walls. A year passes. You are sitting inside your yurt, the wind howling outside. Your wife is stirring a pot of mutton stew over the fire. In a small cot of furs, your son, a child of 2 worlds, is sleeping. He has your eyes. But his mother's resilience, his mother's spirit, you look at this scene, this small, warm circle of life you have created in the heart of your captivity, and you are torn by a conflict so deep it feels as if it will rip your soul in two. Your mind is still a loyal soldier of the Han. You still dream of the emperor, of your duty, of the long road back to Chang'an. Your mission is a constant, nagging ache in your heart. But your heart is here. It is in this yurt, with this woman who has shown you kindness, and with this child who is your own flesh and blood. You are no longer just a captive. You are a husband, you are a father. The Xiongnu have failed to break you with force, so they have conquered you with love. And as you look at the sleeping face of your son, you are forced to ask a terrible question. If the chance to escape ever comes, how can you possibly leave? "133 BC. 5 years. 5 years you have lived under the vast open sky of the steppe. The sharp, painful longing for your old life in the Han Empire has not vanished, but it has softened, dulled by the steady, relentless rhythm of the seasons and the simple, demanding realities of your new existence. You are a husband and a father. You have a family, you have a home, and you have learned that to truly live in this world, you must become a part of it. You must master the skills of the nomad. Your first and most important lesson is the horse. As a Han cavalryman, you thought you knew how to ride, but you quickly learned that your formal, rigid style is useless here. The Xiongnu pony is not the large, powerful charger of the Han army. It is a small, hardy, and incredibly intelligent creature, more a partner than a beast of burden. Your wife's brother takes it upon himself to be your teacher. He laughs at your heavy Han saddle and shows you the Xiongnu way, a lighter, simpler saddle of wood and leather that gives you a more direct connection to the horse. He teaches you to ride not with your hands and heels, but with your legs and your weight, to feel the subtle shifts in the animal's muscles, to anticipate its movements. You spend countless hours in the saddle, your body aching as you learn to become one with the horse, to gallop across the plains with a feeling of freedom and speed that is both terrifying and exhilarating. Your second lesson is the bow. You are an archer, one of the finest in your company, but you are a Han archer trained to fire from a stable, stationary position. The Xiongnu bow is a different beast. It is a powerful composite recurve bow, shorter than your own but with a much heavier draw weight, designed for one purpose: to be used from horseback. You practice for months, your old skills are hindrance at first. You must learn to nock, draw, and fire in the space of a heartbeat, all while controlling a galloping horse with your legs. You must learn their technique of the Parthian shot, twisting in the saddle to fire at a target behind you. It is a difficult, frustrating, and humbling process, but slowly your muscle memory adapts. Your aim improves. The day you successfully hit a running hare from the back of your horse, a great booming cheer goes up from the Xiongnu warriors watching you, a cheer of genuine, earned respect. Your final and most difficult lesson is navigation. The steppe is a featureless, green ocean, a place without roads or landmarks, where a man can become lost and vanish in a matter of hours. You learn to read this vast, empty map. You learn to navigate by the sun during the day and by the unblinking, brilliant stars at night. You learn to read the direction of the constant, prevailing wind by the way it bends the grass. You learn to identify the subtle changes in the landscape, a slight rise in the ground, a different type of vegetation that can signal the presence of a hidden spring or a sheltered valley. The culmination of your long apprenticeship comes during the Great Autumn Hunt. The entire clan, a moving city of hundreds of yurts and thousands of horsemen, works together in a massive, coordinated effort to drive a herd of wild gazelles. You are no longer an observer. You are a participant. You ride with the other warriors, your horse a part of the great, thundering wave. You use your bow, your new, hard-won skill, to bring down your prey. That night, as you sit by the fire, sharing the roasted meat of the hunt with your wife and your son, you feel a sense of belonging that is both a comfort and a betrayal. You look at your hands. They are the same hands, but they know new things. They know how to guide a horse with a touch, how to fire an arrow at a gallop, how to find a path in a world without roads. The skills you have learned to survive have done more than just keep you alive. They have changed you, fundamentally. You are still a soldier of the Han in your heart, but your body, your muscles, your very instincts, they are now the tools of a nomad. (131 BC), 7 years, a lifetime. The sharp, painful edges of your captivity have been worn away by the slow, grinding passage of 7 winters and 7 summers. The routines of the nomadic life are no longer strange and alien. They are simply the rhythms of your own existence. The yurt is no longer a prison, it is your home. And the woman who was given to you as a political tool has become your wife, your companion, the quiet, steady center of your new world. The mission, the memory of the Han, has become a distant, fading story you tell only to yourself in the dark. This chapter of your life begins with the low, rhythmic chanting of the clan's elder women. Your wife is in labor. You are not allowed in the main yurt, as the world of birth is a sacred and powerful domain of women. You sit outside, under the vast, star-filled canopy of the steppe sky, and you wait. You, a man who has faced the arrows of the Xiongnu and the vastness of the desert, have never felt a fear so profound and so helpless. The hours pass. You listen to the sounds from the yurt, the low moans of your wife, the encouraging chants of the women, the crackle of the fire. You are an outsider to this most intimate of moments, a silent petitioner at the door of life. Finally, as the first pale light of dawn begins to stain the eastern sky, the flap of the yurt is opened. An old woman, her face a beautiful, wrinkled map of a long life, beckons you inside. You enter the warm, smoky space. Your wife is lying on a bed of soft furs, exhausted but her eyes are bright. And in her arms, wrapped in a piece of soft, cleaned sheepskin, is your son. She holds him out to you. You take him, your hands, so accustomed to the rough texture of a bowstring and the reins of a horse, feeling clumsy and oversized. He is so small, so impossibly perfect. He has your dark Han eyes, but he has his mother's high cheekbones, the unmistakable mark of the people of the steppe. He is a child of 2 worlds, a living bridge between 2 enemy empires. In that moment, as you look down at the sleeping face of your firstborn child, the last, carefully guarded walls of your internal resistance crumble. The 7 years of your captivity have been a slow, grinding siege on your identity. This small, breathing child is the final, conquering blow. A few days later, the naming ceremony is held. He is not given a Han name, a secret you might whisper to him in the night. He is given a Xiongnu name, a strong, guttural name that speaks of the wind and the sky. He is claimed by the tribe, by the land. You watch as your son is passed from hand to hand, accepted by your wife's family, by the clan as one of their own. That night, you sit by the low fire, watching your wife and your son sleep. The yurt is filled with a quiet, profound peace, and your heart is a battlefield. A part of you, the soldier, the loyal servant of the emperor, is screaming in silent agony. This is the ultimate defeat. The Xiongnu have not just captured your body, they have captured your heart. They have given you a life, a real, tangible and beautiful life, here in the heart of your prison. The dream of returning to the Han, the dream of completing your mission, is no longer a simple matter of duty and escape. It is now a terrible, impossible choice. To leave would be to abandon your own child, to tear your own heart in two. You look at your son, this child of 2 worlds, and you realize that Xiongnu has succeeded where his warriors failed. He has forged a chain that no man can break. It is not a chain of iron, but a chain of love, of blood, of fatherhood, and it binds you to this vast, empty land with a strength that you fear you will never be able to overcome. 129 BC. 9 years, the length of a childhood. Your son is now a young boy who can ride a pony with the natural grace of his Xiongnu kin. Your life has settled into a deep, predictable, and not altogether unpleasant rhythm. You have your family, you have a place within the clan, and you have mastered the skills of the steppe. The memory of your life as a Han soldier is a distant, faded story, a tale you might tell your son one day about a strange, faraway world of walls and cities. You have, in all the ways that matter, assimilated. You think of your life now in terms of the seasons, the health of the herds, the coming of the next winter. You have survived. But there is one man who has not. Zhang Qian. Your leader and fellow captive lives in a nearby yurt. He too has been given a wife. He too has a son. He performs the same tasks as you, tending to his small flock, contributing to the life of the clan. But there is a profound difference. You have built a home here. Zhang Qian is merely biding his time in a prison camp. You visit his yurt on a cold, clear evening. The air inside is warm, but it feels different from your own. While your yurt is filled with the comfortable clutter of a family, his is stark, orderly. On a small, makeshift table, you see a collection of polished stones, arranged to represent the star constellations as they are known to Han astronomers. You see him practicing his calligraphy, not on precious paper, but with a stick in a small tray of sand. The elegant, complex characters of his homeland a silent, daily act of defiance. He has learned the Xiongnu language, but he uses it not for fellowship, but for intelligence. You have seen him in long, patient conversations with the clan's elders, with passing merchants, with disgruntled warriors. He is not just passing the time, he is a diplomat, still at his post, meticulously mapping the political currents, the tribal rivalries, and the military weaknesses of his captors. You sit with him, sharing a bowl of warm kumis. The herds are strong this year, you say, making the simple, practical conversation of a nomad. The winter should be an easy one. Zhang Qian looks at you, his eyes holding a deep, unwavering intensity that has not faded in 9 years. An easy winter is a blessing, he says, his voice quiet. But it is not our blessing. Our herds are the armies of the emperor. Our home is the land of the Han. His words are a gentle but firm rebuke. You feel a flush of shame. You have allowed the comfort of survival to lull you into forgetting your purpose. It has been 9 years, Zhang Qian, you say, your voice a low whisper. The emperor has forgotten us. The mission is over. The emperor never forgets, he replies, his conviction absolute. And the mission is not over until he tells me it is over. Every day I wake in this yurt, I am his envoy. Every piece of information I gather is for him. Every breath I take is in his service. I made an oath. So did you. He looks not at you, but past you, his gaze fixed on some distant internal horizon. They think they have conquered us with wives and with time. They think they have made us their own. But as long as one of us still remembers the mandate of the Son of Heaven, this embassy has not failed. You leave his yurt and step out into the vast, cold emptiness of the steppe night. The stars are a brilliant, silent river overhead. The conversation has shaken you to your core. You have spent years building a new life, a life of simple, human contentment. You have a wife you have grown to care for, a son you love more than your own life. You had convinced yourself that this was enough. But Zhang Qian's quiet, unyielding, almost insane dedication has reignited a part of your soul you thought was long dead. It has reminded you of your oath, of your honor, of the man you were when you rode out of the Jade Gate. You look towards your own yurt, where your family is sleeping. Then you look east, towards the distant, impossible dream of the Han Empire. You realize that Zhang Qian's obsession is a force of nature in itself, as powerful as the winter wind. It is a quiet, steady flame of duty that has never flickered, not for a single moment in 9 long years. And you know, with a sudden, dawning certainty, that this small, quiet man will one day find a way to escape. And when he does, you will be forced to make a terrible, impossible choice between the home you have made and the one you left behind. (128 BC), the 10th year of your captivity. The world turns, the seasons change, and life on the steppe continues its ancient, unchanging rhythm. Your son is a strong, capable boy, his laughter a constant, grounding presence in your yurt. You have found a kind of peace in your new life, a quiet resignation to your fate. The memory of the emperor's mission is a distant, half-forgotten ghost. But you have underestimated the quiet, burning fire of Zhang Qian's will. The opportunity, when it comes, is a product of the Xiongnu's own success. The Xiongnu has launched a major military campaign to the east, drawing away the best and most experienced warriors from the main camp. The supervision of the camp, and of you, grows lax. The guards are young, overconfident boys. The chieftains are distracted by the news of the war. It is during this period of distraction that Zhang Qian comes to your yurt in the dead of night. There is a new light in his eyes, a sharp, focused intensity you have not seen in years. "The time has come," he whispers, his voice tight with an energy that has been suppressed for a decade. "The Xiongnu is away, the best warriors are gone, they have forgotten us. We leave with the next moon." His words strike you like a physical blow. The impossible, abstract dream of escape has suddenly become a concrete, terrifying reality. You look at your sleeping wife, at your son, and a wave of panic washes over you. To leave is to tear your world apart, to abandon this life you have so painstakingly built. "My family." You begin, your voice a choked whisper. "They come with us," Zhang Qian says, his voice leaving no room for argument. "Your wife is your wife. Your son is your son. They are part of our company now. We do not leave them behind." He places a hand on your shoulder. "You have become a great horseman, a great hunter. I cannot do this without you, nor can I do it without Ganfu. The Emperor's mission is not over. Our oath is not forgotten. The decision is a torment. It is a choice between the quiet, certain comfort of your present and the dangerous, uncertain hope of your past. In the end, it is your wife who decides for you. When you tell her of the plan, of your duty to a distant emperor she has never seen, she does not argue. She simply looks at you, at her husband, and then at her son, a child of two worlds, and she nods. Her loyalty is not to the Han or the Xiongnu, but to her family. And where you go, she will follow. The preparations are a masterwork of secrecy and deception. For weeks you gather supplies, not in a great suspicious hoard, but piece by careful piece. An extra bundle of dried meat here, a repaired water skin there. You select the strongest, hardiest ponies from your small herd. Ganfu, your Xiongnu guide who has also built a life here, uses his connections to gather information about the patrols and the safest route out of the camp. The night of the escape is starless, the air cold and still. You move like ghosts through the sleeping camp. You, Zhang Qian, your wives and your young sons, and the loyal Ganfu. 6 souls and a dozen horses, slipping away from a life that has become your own. You ride all through that night, and into the next day, a small, desperate party pushing west, always west. You do not look back. To look back would be to have your heart broken by the sight of the world you are abandoning. You have traded the familiar comfort of your yurt for the vast, terrifying emptiness of the unknown steppe. You have traded your status as a respected member of a clan for the life of a fugitive. As you make your first cold camp, you look at the faces of your family in the firelight. Your wife, who has left her entire world behind for you. Your son, who is afraid and does not understand why he has been stolen from his home. You have fulfilled your oath to Zhang Qian. You have rejoined the Emperor's mission, but the core conflict has never been more acute. You have escaped one prison, but you feel less free than ever before, torn between the life you have left and the one you are desperately trying to reclaim. (128 BC). The first few weeks after your escape are a blur of fear and relentless travel. You and your small party ride west, always west, pushing your hardy steppe ponies to their limits. The fear of Xiongnu pursuit is a physical weight, a constant shadow at your back. But after a month of hard riding, the landscape begins to change. The endless rolling sea of grass gives way to arid plains, and then, finally, to the foothills of a great and unknown mountain range. You have left the world of the nomads behind. You are entering a new land. Your journey takes you into a long, fertile river valley, a vibrant slash of impossible green nestled between towering, snow-capped mountains. As you travel deeper into this valley, you are met with a sight so shocking and so unexpected that you at first believe it to be a mirage. It is a city with high, baked earth walls, with watchtowers, and with the unmistakable, orderly grid of irrigated fields surrounding it. After a decade of living in a world of felt yurts and endless horizons, the sight of a permanent, settled city is a profound and disorienting shock. Your guide, Ganfu, tells you that this is the land of the Daiyuan, the people of the Fergana Valley. You approach the city with caution, but you are not met with the hostility of the Xiongnu. The people of Daiyuan are not nomadic warriors. They are farmers, merchants, and craftsmen. Their features are different from both the Han and the Xiongnu. They have deeper, set eyes and more prominent noses. Their clothes are of dyed cotton, not hide or silk. And they are a people who love wine, which they cultivate from vast vineyards that climb the slopes of the valley, a drink you have only read about in ancient texts. Zhang Qian, his diplomatic instincts instantly reawakened, presents his credentials as an envoy of the Han Emperor. The king of the Daiyuan, intrigued and wary of the powerful Xiongnu to his east, welcomes you as honored guests. It is here, in the royal stables of the king, that you discover the true treasure of this land, a treasure far more valuable than the gold the Han court dreams of. The king, as a gesture of honor, shows you his prized possessions, his horses. You, who have spent a decade mastering the hardy steppe pony, are stunned into silence. The horses of the Daiyuan are like creatures from a myth. They are immense, powerful animals, far larger and stronger than any horse you have ever seen. Their chests are deep, their legs are long and muscular, and their eyes are full of a fiery, intelligent spirit. And then you see the phenomenon that has made these horses a legend, a rumor whispered along the trade routes. As one of the magnificent stallions exerts itself, a reddish, bloody-looking sweat begins to form on its shoulders. The blood-sweating, or heavenly horses, Tianma, you know it is likely caused by a tiny parasite burrowing under the skin, but to the people of this age, it is a divine and wondrous sign of the horse's immense power and spirit. You watch as Zhang Qian stares at the horses, and you see a new, intense, and calculating light in his eyes. He is a man who has spent his life thinking about the Xiongnu problem. He knows the Han infantry is useless against the swift nomadic cavalry. He knows the Han horses are smaller and have less endurance than the ponies of the steppe. But these horses, these magnificent, powerful creatures, they could change everything. An army of Han cavalry mounted on these heavenly horses could not just defend against the Xiongnu, they could meet them on the steppe and defeat them on their own terms. You stand in the sun-drenched courtyard of a foreign king, 1,000 miles from the Jade Gate, and you realize that the entire purpose of your mission has just been transformed. You set out to find an army, an alliance with the lost Yuezhi. That goal may yet lie ahead. But here, in this peaceful valley, you have stumbled upon something far more tangible, and perhaps far more valuable, a weapon. The core conflict is no longer just about your own survival or your conflicting loyalties. A new, grander purpose is beginning to dawn. Zhang Qian, the unwavering envoy, now has a new prize in his sights. The journey is no longer just about finding the Yuezhi. It is now about finding a way to bring these incredible, world-changing horses back to the emperor. (128 BC). You leave the lush, green paradise of the Fergana Valley with a renewed sense of purpose. The discovery of the heavenly horses has given Zhang Qian's mission a new, tangible goal. But between you and the next stage of your journey lies the greatest natural barrier on Earth. The locals speak of it with a kind of fearful reverence. It is a range of mountains so high and so vast that they call it the roof of the world, the Pamirs. The ascent begins gradually. You travel for days through the foothills, the air growing cooler, the landscape becoming more rugged. The familiar, comforting world of green fields and flowing rivers gives way to a stark, vertical world of rock and ice. Soon, you are in the high passes, and the journey transforms into a grueling daily battle for survival. The air itself becomes your enemy. It is thin, cold, and holds so little life that every breath is a conscious, gasping effort. A strange sickness settles over your party. Headaches, dizziness, a profound weakness that makes lifting a single foot an act of immense will. The locals call it mountain sickness, and you learn that it can kill a man as surely as any sword. Your young son suffers the most, and you and your wife spend your nights in a state of constant, terrified vigilance, doing what you can to keep him warm and breathing in the oxygen-starved air. The landscape is a place of terrible, sublime beauty. You are surrounded by a silent, white ocean of snow-covered peaks, their jagged summits seeming to scrape the very heavens. The sun in the thin, clear air is a blinding, merciless glare, and the sky is a deep, dark, and utterly alien shade of blue. There is no life here. No trees, no animals, not even the buzz of an insect. There is only the endless, intimidating silence of the high mountains, broken only by the howl of the wind and the crunch of your own labored footsteps in the snow. The practical challenges are immense. There is no wood for a fire. Your only fuel is the dried dung of your pack animals, which provides a small, smoky but vital flame to melt snow for drinking water and to cook your meager rations. The journey is a constant, nerve-wracking dance with death. The path is a narrow, treacherous track, often with a sheer 1,000-foot drop on one side. You lead your horses carefully, their hooves slipping on the icy ground. One day, a pack horse, laden with a crucial portion of your remaining food supplies, loses its footing. You watch in helpless horror as it slides silently over the edge and vanishes into the abyss. The loss is catastrophic. The days become a blur of slow, agonizing effort. You walk, you breathe, you endure. The grand, geopolitical mission of the emperor feels like a distant, ridiculous fantasy from another world. The only mission now is to take the next step, to survive the next hour. You stand at the summit of the highest pass, a place that feels closer to the heavens than to the world of men. You are utterly, completely exhausted. Your body a wreck, your mind a dull, aching void. But you have done it. You have crossed the roof of the world. Below you, to the west, you can see a new, different land unfolding, the lands of Bactria. You have passed the test. As you begin the slow, careful descent, you look at the faces of your small, ragged party. You see Zhang Qian, his face thin and gaunt, but his eyes still burning with that same unshakable resolve. You see your wife, her strength a quiet miracle. You see your son, weak but alive. You have faced the greatest physical barrier on the planet, and you have overcome it. You do not know it yet, but you are the first men from your civilization to ever complete this journey. You have not just crossed a mountain range, you have connected two halves of the world. (128 BC). The descent from the Pamir Mountains is a journey from a dead white world back into a world of life and color. After the ordeal of the high passes, the land of Bactria feels like a paradise. The air is warm and thick, and the great, slow-moving Oxus River has created a wide, fertile plain. For the first time in months, you are surrounded by the sights and sounds of a prosperous, settled land, the lowing of cattle, the scent of ripe grapes, and the murmur of unfamiliar languages. Your small, ragged party, you, Zhang Qian, your families, and Ganfu are a strange and pitiable sight to the local people. But you are no longer just fugitives. You are an official embassy from the great Han Empire, and you have come with a purpose that has driven you for 10 long years. You have come to find the Yuezhi. After making inquiries in the local towns, you find them. They are not a scattered, nomadic tribe hiding in the wilderness. They are the new masters of this land. They have conquered the small Hellenistic kingdom that once ruled here, and they have established their own new, powerful court. An audience is granted. You and Zhang Qian are led into the great hall of the Yuezhi king. It is a strange and magnificent place, a fascinating blend of cultures. The pillars are carved in the Greek style, a remnant of the old kingdom, but the walls are hung with the rich, colourful felt tapestries of the steppe nomads. The men of the court wear trousers, in the nomadic fashion, but their robes are of fine traded silk. You are finally face to face with the people who have been the object of your epic decade-long quest. Zhang Qian, his face thin and weathered, but his eyes burning with the fire of his mission, presents the gifts he has carried with him all this way, the last of the perfect, unblemished rolls of Han silk. He then begins to speak. His voice is calm, but it carries the weight of his unshakable conviction. He speaks of the great Han Emperor, of his power, of his desire for an alliance. He reminds the Yuezhi king of their shared enemy, the Xiongnu. He retells the story of their great defeat, of the death of their old king, and of the ultimate, unforgivable humiliation. The king's skull, fashioned into a drinking cup for the Xiongnu Chanyu. He speaks of revenge. He lays out the emperor's grand, audacious plan, a great two-front war. The Han will attack from the east, and the Yuezhi, with Han's support, will attack from the west. Together, they will crush the Xiongnu forever, and the Yuezhi will reclaim their ancestral lands and their lost honor. It is the speech he has been preparing in his mind for 10 years. It is the entire purpose of your suffering, of your captivity, of your perilous journey over the roof of the world. When he is finished, a long silence fills the hall. The Yuezhi king, a young, confident man who was born in this new land and has never seen the old one, listens patiently. He confers with his advisors. Then he gives his answer. His reply is polite, respectful, but it is an absolute and final refusal. He explains that the story of the Skull Cup is an old one, a tale from his grandfather's time. The men who remembered that hatred are long dead. They have found a new home here, a rich and fertile land. They have conquered their new enemies and have no old ones left to fight. Why, he asks with a simple, unanswerable logic, would they risk their newfound peace and prosperity to march thousands of miles back into the harsh grasslands to fight a war for a revenge they no longer feel? The mission is over. It has failed. You stand behind Zhang Qian and watch his face. You see no outburst of anger, no sign of despair. You see only a quiet, profound, and soul-crushing disappointment. The entire, singular purpose of his life, the obsession that has driven him through a decade of captivity and across the highest mountains on earth, has just evaporated in a few calm, reasonable words. You think of the 100 men who left the Jade Gate. You think of the years you lost, of the family you have built, of the hardships you have all endured. All for this. All for a polite refusal from a king who does not share your emperor's hatreds. The great gamble has failed. You have crossed the world to find a ghost, and the ghost has no interest in being resurrected. You are thousands of miles from home. Your mission is a failure, and you have no idea what you are supposed to do now. 128 BC. The mission is a failure. You leave the court of the Yuezhi with a profound sense of emptiness. For 10 years, the goal of forging an alliance was the single distant star that guided you through the darkness of your captivity. Now, that star has gone out. The journey home is a perilous 1,000-mile trek, and it now seems utterly pointless. You expect Zhang Qian to be a man broken, to give the order to turn back and face the long, bitter journey of reporting his failure to the emperor. But he does something else entirely. He does not turn back. Instead, he decides to travel south, deeper into the lands of Bactria, the territory the Yuezhi have conquered. His diplomatic mission may be over, but a new mission, one of his own devising, has just begun. If he cannot bring the emperor an alliance, he will bring him something else: knowledge. He will become a spy, an ethnographer, an explorer in this strange new world. Your journey takes you out of the nomadic lands and into a civilization that is a fascinating, bewildering fusion of East and West. This is a land still saturated with the legacy of a conqueror who passed through here more than a century ago, Alexander the Great. It is a Hellenistic kingdom, a pocket of Greek culture surviving in the heart of Central Asia. You arrive in a great city, perhaps Ai-Khanoum, and you are stunned. You have seen the orderly, walled cities of the Han, and you have seen the felt yurts of the Xiongnu. This is something entirely different. The buildings are made of stone and fired brick. There are great colonnaded temples dedicated to gods you do not recognize, a gymnasium where athletes train in the Greek fashion, and a great open-air theater built into a hillside, just as you have heard travelers describe the cities of the far west. The people themselves are a beautiful and confusing mixture. Some have the dark hair and eyes of the local Bactrians, but others have fair hair and eyes of blue or grey, the distant descendants of Alexander's Greek soldiers who settled this land. You and Zhang Qian, ever the insatiably curious observer, spend your days in the city's marketplace, the Agora. It is a vibrant, chaotic hub of global trade. You hear the lyrical sounds of the Greek language being spoken alongside the guttural tones of the Scythians and the softer dialects of traders from Persia. You see merchants selling goods you can barely comprehend: fine, painted pottery, intricate glasswork, and silver coins bearing the proud, bearded profiles of long-dead Greek kings. Zhang Qian is a man possessed by a new purpose. He is no longer just a diplomat, he is a scholar. He meticulously documents everything he sees. He makes notes on their methods of agriculture, especially their cultivation of grapes and the making of wine, a drink the Han court covets but has been unable to produce. He studies their military, observing how their armies are a blend of Greek-style infantry and the mounted archers of the steppe. He is particularly fascinated by their use of silver coinage for all transactions, a mercantile system far more fluid than the Han's own complex economy. You stand in the marketplace one afternoon, the air filled with a dozen strange languages, and you watch as a merchant from the south unloads his wares. You see spices you have never smelled before, and strange, colorful cotton cloth. You have a profound, dizzying realization. Your world, the Han world, which you have always believed to be the center of all civilization, is just one part of a much larger, more complex, and deeply interconnected tapestry. You thought the Jade Gate was the end of the world. You now see it was just the beginning of another. You look at Zhang Qian, who is deep in conversation with a merchant, his eyes bright with a new kind of ambition. The core conflict of your journey has been transformed. The failure of the original military mission has given way to the immense, unexpected success of a new mission of discovery. Zhang Qian came here seeking a weapon, an army to fight the Xiongnu, but you realize he has found something far more powerful. He has found knowledge. He has found a map of the world that is infinitely larger and more complex than the one on the Emperor's silk scroll. And you know that this knowledge, when he brings it back, will be a treasure that will change your empire forever. 127 BC. You have spent a year in the Hellenistic lands of Bactria. It has been a year of profound and constant discovery. The initial failure of your mission to the Yuezhi has been forgotten, replaced by a new, self-appointed task to learn, to observe, and to document this astonishing world. Zhang Qian, your leader, has transformed from a disappointed diplomat into an insatiable scholar, his mind a sponge for the new sights, sounds, and ideas of this crossroads of civilizations. Your days are spent in the great marketplace of the capital city. It is a river of humanity, a place where 100 different languages mix in the air and the goods of a dozen different empires are laid out for sale. You have seen the fine, blue-eyed glass from the distant Roman world, the rich, dark wines of Persia, the heavy felt cloaks of the Scythian nomads, and the intricate jewelry of the Bactrian Greeks themselves. You have become accustomed to the strange and the exotic. It is on a day like any other that the most significant discovery of your entire 13-year journey is made, and it begins with something utterly, shockingly familiar. You are in the sprawling stall of a wealthy merchant who trades with the lands to the southeast. His wares are a chaotic treasure trove, fragrant spices you cannot name, vibrant cotton cloth, and strange dark woods. While Zhang Qian is inspecting a piece of cloth, your eyes fall upon a simple, mundane object, a walking cane, propped against a bale of goods. You stare at it, a strange feeling of recognition prickling your skin. It is a bamboo cane, but of a very specific kind. It has a distinctive, almost square-shaped stalk and a particular type of joint. You have seen 1,000 such canes in your life. They are made from the Xiongnu bamboo, which grows only in one place in the entire known world, your leader's home province of Shu in the far southwest of the Han Empire. You touch Zhang Qian's arm and point. He turns, his eyes follow your gaze, and he falls silent. His expression is one of pure, stunned disbelief. He walks over to the cane, picks it up, and runs his hand along its familiar, jointed surface. Where, he asks the merchant, his voice tight, his command of the local dialect now fluent, did this come from? The merchant, a portly man with a long grey beard, shrugs, confused by the intense interest in such a simple object. From Xiongnu, he says. A great kingdom, many months' travel to the southeast. They have a great deal of it. Zhang Qian then points to the colourful cotton cloth he was just inspecting. And this cloth? Does it also come from Xiongnu? Yes, of course, the merchant replies. It is a common textile from that land. Zhang Qian is silent, but you can see the furious, brilliant working of his mind. You too recognize the cloth. It is a common, inexpensive fabric woven in the workshops of Shu. He turns to you, his eyes burning with the light of a colossal, world-shattering idea. He leads you away from the stall, his mind racing. Do you see? He whispers, his voice filled with a new, feverish energy. The puzzle is immense. How did these simple, common goods from the southwest of your own empire end up here, in a Bactrian market, thousands of miles to the west? You know the northern route, the one you took, is controlled by the hostile Xiongnu. No merchant would dare to travel it. Zhang Qian begins to piece it together. The goods must have travelled from Shu, south, into the great kingdom the merchant called Xiongnu, India. From there, the merchants of India must have a trade route that leads northwest through the mountains into Bactria. The implication of this is an earthquake in your understanding of the world. Your empire, the great Middle Kingdom, is not an island of civilization, isolated by a wall of barbarians. It is connected. There is a great, thriving world to the south, a world of powerful kingdoms and rich trade, and it has a backdoor to the west, a backdoor that completely bypasses the Xiongnu. You stand in the middle of the chaotic foreign marketplace, and the entire map of the world has just been redrawn in your mind. The military mission to find an alliance has failed, but in its place, a new, infinitely grander vision has been born, sparked by a humble piece of bamboo. Zhang Qian is no longer just an envoy. He is the bearer of a secret that will change the destiny of your empire. A secret of a southern route, a path for Han's silk and gold to flow to the west, and for the heavenly horses of Yuan to flow to the east, all without ever touching the lands of your great enemy. The core conflict of your journey has been transformed. It is no longer a desperate attempt to fulfill a failed military objective. It is now a race to bring this incredible, world-changing economic and geographic intelligence back to the Dragon Throne. (126 BC). For more than a year, you have been traveling east, retracing your steps, your faces set towards home. The journey back has been a reversal of the one that brought you here. You left the Han as a soldier on a military mission of vengeance. You are returning as a scholar and a geographer, a bearer of knowledge that will reshape the world. The failure to secure the alliance with the Yuezhi is now a distant memory, replaced by the immense, world-changing significance of your new discoveries. The heavenly horses of Yuan and the secret southern trade route through Chengdu. Zhang Qian is a man possessed by a new fire. He is no longer just an envoy trying to complete a mission. He is a man who holds the future of the empire in his hands. Your small party, you, your leader, your families, and the faithful guide Ganfu, has a renewed sense of urgent purpose. You have survived the Pamirs for a second time. You have navigated the great deserts. You are now just a few months' travel from the Jade Gate. You can almost taste the familiar air of home. This cautious optimism, this hope, makes what happens next an act of supreme and bitter irony. You are traveling through a region of the steppes that you believe to be safe, a territory belonging to a tribe that is not openly hostile. But the political winds of the grasslands are constantly shifting. You have grown comfortable, your vigilance perhaps dulled by the long, exhausting journey. The attack, when it comes, is not the thundering, overwhelming ambush of 13 years ago. It is a slow, quiet, and inevitable strangulation. They appear on the horizon, a small party of Xiongnu scouts at first. Then another group appears on a different ridge, and another. They do not charge. They simply shadow you, a pack of wolves herding their prey. There is nowhere to run. Your small party is exhausted, your horses are worn out, you are vastly outnumbered. There will be no glorious battle, no desperate fight. Zhang Qian, ever the pragmatist, knows that resistance is a pointless suicide. When the Xiongnu chieftain finally rides forward to confront you, your leader calmly dismounts. The surrender is a quiet, formal, and soul-crushing anticlimax. You are a prisoner. Again. The despair that settles upon you is a physical thing, a cold, heavy stone in your gut that is far worse than the initial shock of your first capture. The first time, you were a soldier, and capture was a known, if feared, risk of your profession. But this is different. You were so close. You had crossed the roof of the world. You had seen wonders beyond imagination. You had survived for over a decade. To be caught now, in the final act, feels like a cruel, personal joke played by a malicious god. You look at the faces of your family. Your wife, who has followed you faithfully from the land of her birth, is now a prisoner among her own people, her loyalty to you a mark of treason in their eyes. Your son, a boy who knows only the life of the journey, is terrified. You are disarmed and led back into the familiar world of a Xiongnu camp. The sight of the yurts, the smell of the dung fires, the taste of the sour kumis, it is all a waking nightmare, a return to a life you thought you had escaped forever. That night, you lie in a guest yurt, a prisoner once more, and you are consumed by the bitter, corrosive taste of irony. You are a man who holds in his mind a secret that could enrich your emperor beyond his wildest dreams and secure the borders of the empire for a generation. You know the path to the heavenly horses. You know the secret route to India. This knowledge, this priceless treasure, is trapped with you in a felt tent in the middle of a hostile wilderness. The core conflict of your life has reached its most painful point. You have the knowledge of a king, but the power of a slave. You look at Zhang Qian. Even he, the man of unbreakable will, seems to have a new weariness in his eyes. You have come so far, endured so much, only to end up exactly where you started. And as you listen to the familiar, alien sounds of the Xiongnu camp outside, you are filled with a profound and terrible despair. The belief that you are simply fated to die here, your epic journey, and your world-changing discoveries, a meaningless secret that will turn to dust with your bones. (126 BC). You have been a prisoner of the Xiongnu for over a year now, a second lifetime you never asked for. The initial, soul-crushing despair has slowly given way to a grim, weary observation. And what you observe gives you a strange, dangerous, and entirely unexpected flicker of hope. The Xiongnu Empire you have returned to is not the one you left. The mighty, unified, and disciplined nation that so easily captured you a decade ago is gone. In its place is a fractured, paranoid, and chaotic hornet's nest that is in the process of stinging itself to death. The great Chan Yu, the supreme leader who commanded the unwavering loyalty of all the tribes, is dead. His death has not led to a smooth succession. It has created a power vacuum, and a violent, bloody civil war has erupted between his rival sons and nephews, each one claiming the right to rule. The signs of this internal chaos are everywhere. The great, sprawling nomadic camp is no longer a single, unified entity. It has broken apart into smaller, rival encampments, each one flying the banner of a different would-be Chan Yu. The once constant patrols that made the steppe a prison for you are now engaged in watching each other, their suspicion turned inward. You witness the decay firsthand. You see warriors, once united by their shared identity, now looking at each other with the cold, calculating eyes of enemies. Fights break out in the camp not over gambling debts, but over political allegiance, and these fights end not with bruises, but with drawn swords. You see raiding parties return to the camp not with Han goods, but with the horses and sheep of a rival clan. Their victory a bitter, self-destructive act. Your own position, and that of Zhang Qian, is a strange and precarious one. In the midst of their own internal power struggles, the two Han envoys are a low priority, almost forgotten. Your captors are too busy watching their own backs to watch you with the same vigilance as before. Your Xiongnu wife, who was once shamed by her connection to a Han captive, is now your most valuable source of information. Her clan, like all the others, has been forced to choose a side in the civil war. She comes to your yurt at night, her voice a low whisper, and tells you of the latest developments, of a battle won, of a new alliance formed, of a chieftain assassinated. She tells you these things not as a spy, but as a wife, sharing the dangerous news that affects the safety of your shared family. You and Zhang Qian listen to this news, and you begin to understand the immense, strategic opportunity that is unfolding. One evening, you are with Zhang Qian, watching a group of warriors loyal to your camp's chieftain preparing for a skirmish. They are no longer the confident, terrifying force of your memory. They are a nervous, diminished group, their eyes filled with the weariness of a man fighting his own kinsman. Look at them, Zhang Qian says to you, his voice low and filled with a new, sharp energy. A decade ago, the Chan Yu could summon 50,000 horsemen with a single command. Now, they fight each other for scraps. The great wolf has begun to eat its own tail. You look at him and see that the weary resignation he has worn for the past year is gone. The fire of the unforgotten mission is back in his eyes. He is no longer seeing the walls of your prison. He is seeing the cracks. That night, the bitter irony of your situation is not lost on you. The Xiongnu, in their strength, were your perfect, inescapable jailers. But now, in their weakness, in their self-inflicted chaos, they have become the architects of your potential freedom. Their great tragedy is your great opportunity. The core conflict of your captivity has been turned on its head. The despair of being recaptured has been replaced by the rising, dangerous hope of a final escape. Zhang Qian is no longer just enduring, he is planning. You can see it in the way he watches the changing of the guards, in the way he studies the movements of the rival clans. The mighty Xiongnu Empire is collapsing from within, and in that chaos, the unluckiest man in the world is about to become the most dangerous, a man with nothing left to lose, and a clear path to run. (126 BC). The civil war of the Xiongnu has reached its terrible, bloody crescendo. The chaos that has been simmering for a year finally boils over. The rival chieftain, a man whose hatred for your own clan's leader is legendary, chooses the dead of a winter night to launch a surprise attack. For the Xiongnu, it is a night of fratricide, a tragic chapter in their own history. For Zhang Qian, it is the moment he has been waiting for. It is the perfect, bloody and terrifying cover for your final escape. The attack begins with the high, ululating war cries you remember so well from your own capture. But this time, they are not directed at you. They are the sound of the Xiongnu tearing their own world apart. You awaken in your yurt to the sounds of screaming, the thunder of hooves, and the terrifying orange glow of burning yurts. Zhang Qian is already there, a shadow in the doorway of your home. "Now," he says, his voice a sharp, urgent command. "This is our only chance. Gather your family. To the horses." The camp is a vision of hell. Men are fighting with swords and bows in the spaces between the burning tents. Horses, mad with terror, are stampeding through the chaos. You find your wife, her face a mask of fear, and you pull your sleepy, crying son from his bed. This is the moment you have both dreaded and dreamed of. You fight your way through the chaos to the small herd of horses you have prepared. Zhang Qian and Ganfu are already there, with Zhang Qian's wife and son. The plan is simple: to use the confusion of the battle to slip away into the darkness, to become just another small group of refugees fleeing the violence. You lift your son onto a pony, his small hands gripping the mane. You turn to help your wife mount her own horse, and in that split second of distraction, the battle finds you. Two horsemen, their faces illuminated by the firelight, crash into your small group. They are not interested in you. They are locked in a mortal combat with each other, their swords ringing against their small shields. Your wife's horse rears in terror, throwing her to the ground. Your son's pony, spooked by the noise, bolts, galloping away into the darkness of the camp. "My son!" Your wife screams, scrambling to her feet and running after him. You are torn by an impossible choice. You see your wife and son disappear into the swirling, violent chaos of the camp, and you see Zhang Qian, who has managed to get his own family onto their horses, screaming at you. "We must go, now, or we all die here." He is right. To go after your family is to plunge into the heart of a battle that is not your own, a certain death. To flee is to abandon them, to leave your own child in the middle of a war zone. Your heart breaks. You give one last, agonizing look into the chaos where your family has vanished, and then you turn, leap onto your horse, and follow Zhang Qian. The flight is a desperate, frantic gallop into the blackness of the steppe. The sounds of the battle, the screams, your wife's cries, fade behind you until there is only the sound of the wind in your ears and the thunder of your own horse's hooves. You ride all through that night, a small, sad party of four. You, Zhang Qian, his Xiongnu wife, and the faithful guide Ganfu. The escape has been a success. You are free. But as the sun rises, casting a pale, cold light on your small, haggard group, you feel no triumph, only a profound, hollow, and soul-crushing emptiness. The core conflict of your life has been resolved in the most brutal way imaginable. You are no longer torn between your two lives. The life you built on the steppe, your home, your wife, your son has been burned away in the chaos of a single night, sacrificed for the sake of a mission you had almost forgotten. You have regained your freedom, but the price was your heart. You look at Zhang Qian. He is looking east, his face set, his eyes already focused on the Jade Gate, on the Emperor, on the completion of his duty. He has paid a price, but his family is with him. You have paid a price that is beyond all accounting. And as you ride towards home, you know that you are leaving the most important part of yourself behind, lost forever in the smoke and the chaos of the Xiongnu's war. 125 BC. The final journey home is a quiet one. The terror of the final escape has given way to a steady, relentless push to the east. A journey powered by the simple, magnetic pull of home. You are a party of 4 ghosts, the last remnants of a forgotten expedition. You, the soldier whose family is now a phantom of the steppes. Zhang Qian, the envoy, his face a mask of grim determination, his Xiongnu wife a silent, watchful presence beside him, and Ganfu the guide, a Xiongnu who has now betrayed his own people to return to the land of his former captors. You are a strange, broken family, bound together by a shared saga of survival. The landscape becomes familiar once more, the harsh desert giving way to the arid but recognizable terrain of the Hexi corridor. You know you are close. Every landmark, every distant mountain range is a memory from a lifetime ago. And then, one afternoon you see it. It is a dark square shape on the horizon, a man-made interruption in the vast natural emptiness. At first, it is so small you are unsure if it is real, but as you draw closer, its form becomes unmistakable. The high, earthen walls, the watchtowers at its corners, it is the Jade Gate, it is Yumen Guan, it is the end of your exile. The 4 of you stop your horses, a silent, ragged line of travelers staring at the symbol of home. 13 years. 13 years since you rode out of that gate as a proud soldier in a company of 100. You are now returning as a weathered, gaunt survivor in a company of 4. As you make your final approach, you see the Han sentries on the wall, their helmets and the tips of their spears glinting in the afternoon sunday. They watch your small party with a wary, professional suspicion. You are dressed in the worn furs and hides of the nomads. Your faces are burned dark by a decade of the steppe Sunday. You do not look like Han soldiers, you look like the enemy. A patrol of horsemen rides out to intercept you, their swords drawn. "Halt!" their commander shouts, his voice sharp with the authority of the empire. "Identify yourselves." It is Zhang Qian who speaks. His voice is a dry, cracked whisper, but it carries the weight of his long journey. "I am Zhang Qian," he says, "envoy of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor Wu. I have returned from the western regions." The soldiers stare at him, their faces a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Zhang Qian. The name is a distant echo from the past, the leader of a doomed mission, a man long presumed dead, a historical footnote. But Zhang Qian presents the imperial seals he has guarded for 13 years. The commander's eyes widen in stunned recognition. He gives a sharp command, and his men sheathe their swords. They escort you, with a new, reverent awe, towards the great gate. The same heavy wooden gates that boomed shut behind you 13 years ago now groan open to receive you. You ride through the dark, cool tunnel of the gateway and into the fortress courtyard. The world that greets you is overwhelmingly, intoxicatingly familiar. You smell the scent of Han cooking fires, the aroma of rice and roasting pork, a smell so different from the boiled mutton of the steppes that it almost makes you weep. You hear the sounds of your own language, the sharp, tonal cadence of soldiers' banter, a sound you have not heard in a decade. You see the brilliant, colourful silk banners of the Han army, their dragons and characters, a beautiful, welcome sight. You have come home. But as you dismount your horse on the hard-packed earth of the courtyard, the feeling is not one of simple, triumphant joy. It is a profound, disorienting, and deeply bittersweet moment. The soldiers of the garrison gather around, staring at you, at your strange, foreign-looking family, at your weathered, almost alien appearance. You are among your own people, but you have never felt more like an outsider. The core conflict of your life is now laid bare. You have returned. You have survived an ordeal that no Han man has ever endured. But the price of that survival is a part of yourself that you have left behind forever. The faces of 96 of your comrades, lost to battle and time, flash in your mind. And behind them, the faces of your wife and your son, lost in the chaos of your final flight, a wound in your heart that will never heal. You have returned to the world of order, but you carry the chaos of the wilderness within you. You are a hero of the Han, but you are also a ghost of the steppe. You are home, but you know with a deep and aching certainty that you can never truly come back to the man you were. (125 BC). The journey from the Jade Gate to the capital of Chang'an is a journey in reverse, a slow, disorienting return to a world you had thought you would never see again. After 13 years in the vast, empty wilderness of the steppes and the strange, foreign cities of the West, the heartland of the Han Empire is an overwhelming sensory assault. The sheer number of people, the orderly, gridded fields, the noise of the market towns, the sight of so much water, so much green, it is all a beautiful, dizzying dream. You and Zhang Qian are no longer ragged fugitives. You are heroes, legends who have returned from the dead. Your small party is given a military escort, and as you travel east, news of your impossible return precedes you. People line the roads to stare at you, at your weathered, sun-darkened faces, and at Zhang Qian's Xiongnu wife, a living curiosity from the barbarian world. Finally, you arrive back in Chang'an, the great walled capital. The city is grander, more prosperous than you remember. After 13 years in a world of felt and mud brick, the sheer, soaring scale of the city's gates and pagoda roofs is a testament to the immense power you once served. You are summoned once more to the Weiyang Palace, to the great audience hall of the Dragon Throne. This time, you do not enter as an unknown, insignificant soldier. You enter as a living legend. The same ministers and courtiers who dispatched you on a suicidal mission now look at you with a mixture of disbelief, reverence, and awe. A profound silence falls over the great hall as you and Zhang Qian, followed by his wife and the faithful guide Ganfu, walk the long, carpeted path to the throne. You perform the familiar deep kowtow. When you rise, you look upon the face of your emperor. He is no longer the fiery, ambitious young man who sent you on your quest. He is a mature ruler now, his face lined with the cares of 13 more years of governing a great empire. His gaze is as intense and as all-seeing as you remember. You have returned, the emperor says, his voice a low, powerful calm. Report. Zhang Qian steps forward. He is no longer a humble, low-ranking official. He is a man who has crossed the world, who has known captivity and freedom, who has spoken with kings and has seen civilizations the emperor can only dream of. He speaks not with the formal, stilted language of the court, but with the quiet, simple authority of an eyewitness. He tells the whole, unvarnished story. He tells of the first capture and the 10 long years of life among the Xiongnu. He speaks of their strengths and, more importantly, of the internal conflicts that are now tearing them apart. He tells of the escape and of the journey west. He describes the magnificent, blood-sweating heavenly horses of Dayuan, and you see a flicker of intense interest in the emperor's eyes. He describes the impossible, soul-crushing crossing of the Pamir mountains, the roof of the world. He describes finding the Yuezhi, and he reports, with a clear and honest voice, the failure of his primary mission. They have found a new home, Your Majesty, he says. They have no taste for a war of revenge. A low murmur of disappointment runs through the court. The great gamble, it seems, has come to nothing. But Zhang Qian is not finished. He then begins to speak of what he found beyond the Yuezhi. He describes the Hellenistic kingdoms of Bactria, a world of Greek soldiers and Central Asian merchants. And finally, he tells of his greatest discovery. He tells of the bamboo canes and the cloth from Shu found in a Bactrian market. He unveils his stunning, brilliant deduction, a secret southern trade route, a path from the Han Empire through a great and unknown kingdom called Xiongnu, or India, that completely bypasses the Xiongnu. A new, more profound silence falls over the hall. The ministers, who had been ready to dismiss the mission as a costly failure, are now staring at Zhang Qian with a dawning, electrifying understanding. The failure of the military alliance is a trivial matter compared to this. This is knowledge that will redraw the map of the world. The emperor leans forward on his throne, his eyes burning with a new strategic fire. He is a man who has spent his entire reign trying to solve a single, intractable problem, and Zhang Qian, his failed envoy, has just returned with the key. You stand behind your leader, a silent witness to this final, climactic moment. You realize the true meaning of your long journey. You did not bring back the army the emperor wanted. You brought back something infinitely more powerful, a new idea of the world. A world that is not a small, isolated kingdom surrounded by barbarians, but a vast, interconnected network of civilizations. A world filled with new possibilities for trade, for wealth, and for power. Your 13-year ordeal was not a failure. It was the birth of an entirely new future for your empire. (114 BC). More than a decade has passed since your return to Chang'an. You are an old man now, your hair frosted with grey, your body marked by the scars of your long journey. You have been given an honorable position as an officer in the palace guard, a quiet and respectable end to a life of unimaginable adventure. From your new vantage point, you have been a witness to the slow, seismic, and world-changing consequences of your 13-year odyssey. Zhang Qian, the man you followed into the darkness, has become one of the most powerful and respected figures in the empire. The emperor, true to his word, has honored him with wealth and high titles. But more importantly, he has listened to him. The knowledge you brought back has become the new cornerstone of imperial policy. The effect is not immediate, but it is inexorable. Emperor Wu, armed with Zhang Qian's intelligence, launches a series of massive military campaigns that finally break the power of the Xiongnu, securing the Hexi corridor and opening the path to the west. And then, the caravans begin. At first, they are small, tentative expeditions commissioned by the emperor himself. They are laden with the one commodity the West desires above all others: Chinese silk. They follow the path you and Zhang Qian charted, a journey that is no longer a leap into a terrifying void, but a known, mapped, and protected route. They return months later, not with a military alliance, but with treasures that electrify the Han court. They bring back the first of the magnificent, blood-sweating heavenly horses from Daiwan, which will transform the Han cavalry. They bring back grapevines, and for the first time, the emperor's court tastes the strange, sweet pleasure of wine. They bring back new ideas, new music, and new stories of the great civilizations that lie beyond the mountains. The trickle becomes a flood. Private merchants, hearing the tales of immense profits, begin to form their own caravans. The route you pioneered becomes a great, pulsating artery of commerce, a river of goods and ideas flowing in both directions. For the next 1,000 years, this network of trails will be the most important highway on Earth. It will carry not just silk and horses, but religions like Buddhism, technologies like papermaking, and the fates of empires. It will be given a name, the Silk Road, and Zhang Qian, the stubborn, failed envoy, will forever be known to history by a different, more glorious title, the Father of the Silk Road. You sit in the quiet of your small home in the capital. A young, curious officer has been sent to you to record your own memories of the great journey. You tell him your stories of the 10 years in the yurt, of the taste of kumis, of the terrifying crossing of the Pamirs, of the Greek cities in Bactria. But there are stories you do not tell him. You do not tell him of the faces of the 96 comrades who never returned. You do not tell him of the profound, aching silence in your heart where the memory of your Xiongnu wife and your son resides. You do not tell him of the true, immense, and deeply personal cost of that glorious expedition. That night, you look at a modern map, a beautiful scroll of silk showing the great, sprawling trade routes that now connect your empire to Persia, to India, to the very edge of the Roman world. Your journey, your suffering, has become a single, elegant line on a map. The core conflict of your life is now a quiet, internal one. It is the conflict between the immense, world-changing significance of what you helped to achieve and the small, human, and unbearable price that you, and so many others, had to pay. Your name will not be remembered by history. You are just an archer, a footnote in the story of a great man, but you know the truth. You were there. You were a part of the small, desperate gamble that cracked open the door to the world. And that knowledge is your own, quiet and bittersweet legacy. And so the epic 13-year journey of Zhang Qian comes to a quiet, reflective end. Your own long journey through the day is also complete. Let the memory of the vast, silent steppes and the distant, snow-capped mountains fade away. The long road is behind you, and your only destination now is a deep and peaceful rest. If this story of endurance helped you unwind, a quiet like is always deeply appreciated. And if you wish to join us for more adventures into the past, please consider subscribing. Thank you for traveling so far with me tonight. May your rest be as peaceful as the silence of the desert stars. Until our next story, good night.